Okay, so now we're gonna sew on the face and the cheeks and attach the eyes for both Pikachu and Raichu. I've already done Pikachu, so we'll move on to Raichu. So we're gonna sew on the mouths first. Now what you can do if you're having trouble kind of figuring out where your center is on this, because it's gonna be a little bit difficult, is you can put some stuffing in there temporarily. Don't leave it in there, but you can put some stuffing in there to help kind of push out the cheeks. So we're gonna embroider on a W shape. And the W shape is gonna go over, is gonna span 5 stitches. So the mouth is a W shape. So you just kind of want to make sure that you get this kind of centered between the cheeks. So you come out where you want to start, then you go down 1 row and over 1 stitch, and then up 1 row and over 1 stitch, just like this. And then you go back down. So you go down 1, over 1. So we're gonna go down 1, over 1, so that you make this W shape, and then down 1, over 1, and then back in. So you've got a W for your mouth. So you got a W for your mouth centered in between your cheeks. It's very important that it is centered. And then I'm gonna flip this inside out and just tie a little knot in these yarn tails. To prevent them from coming loose. And make sure you do this on both your Pikachu and your Raichu. They both have pretty much the exact same face. So there's the mouth. Next we're gonna take our safety eyes and kind of, you gotta decide 1, 2, 3, 4. Decide where you want them to go. So you just kind of find somewhere you like. Now once you have the eyes where you like them and where you think it's gonna look the best, you can attach the backs. But make sure that you don't attach the backs until you're completely satisfied with where the eyes are positioned, because once the backs are attached, they're not coming off. They're really difficult to remove. So now that we've got our face all sewn in place, next we're going to do the cheeks. Maybe you can also take a marker or something like that and mark where you want the cheeks to go. So I'm using this marker. It's a similar color, but it should be somewhat visible. And just where the cheeks puff out, just kind of draw a little circle. About the size of a quarter, a US quarter. You know, about 2 centimeters in diameter. And then do that on both sides. You know, it's just dark, and the color is just dark enough that I can see it, but not so dark that it's going to show through. Then you're going to thread your yarn through your needle, and then we're going to do something called a chain stitch, which is actually one of my favorite embroidery stitches to use in amigurumi. I'm going to make a video soon doing all the stitches that you can do embroidering on amigurumi, but I don't have that one yet. Okay, so a chain stitch is, and I'm sorry if this is a little blurry, I keep making adjustments and it looks like it's gonna focus, but then it like blurs again, so I don't know what's going on. All right, so you're coming out of a stitch just like this. You take your needle and you go back into the same stitch and then over 1 stitch. And then you pull your yarn through, but you leave a little bit of a loop. Just like this, you leave a loop. I'm gonna put my thumb in there, or I'll use my fingers like this. Then you take your needle and you go back through. Just like this. Okay? And you pull tight. And that's 1 chain stitch. Then to make the other chain stitches, you go back into that same stitch that you just made, like through the loop that you just made, and then down into your work and over. and then leave a loop just like we did before. Go back through and pull tight. And that's how you do a chain stitch. And these are really useful for any kind of details that you need to embroider on your work that don't follow the same pattern. We're not following the original stitch pattern. We're not overriding another color. We're creating a completely new shape on top of our work. So that's what chain stitches are really good for. So I've got the entire area outlined in chain stitches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of like what I did before, which is just a circle, but I'm slowly going to kind of spiral into the middle. Just keep on going in a spiral until this area is completely filled in with yellow, or red in the case of Pikachu. Okay, so I've got Raichu's face all done and Pikachu's face all done. All right, next we're going to crochet the hands, and the pattern for the hands is the exact same for both Pikachu and Raichu, but Raichu has a color change halfway through. So if you're doing Pikachu, you can start with your yellow yarn and just go all the way through this pattern with yellow yarn. If you're doing Raichu, then start with your dark brown yarn and we'll change together at the appropriate place. So I'm going to start with my brown yarn, and I am actually using a completely different brand of yarn and a different weight because I couldn't find a color brown that I liked in the other brand of yarn, so I'm just doubling up the strands. Ideally, you want to get the same brand and weight of yarn for every portion of this project, but I couldn't do that this time, so I've just got this. That's okay. It's not a big deal. So the first thing we're going to do is make a magic ring with 5 single crochets. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we're going to increase from 5 stitches to 10 stitches by increasing in every stitch. So in the first stitch, we single crochet 1, then go back in and increase for 2. In the next stitch is 3 and increase for 4. 5 and increase for 6, 7 and increase for 8, 9 and increase for 10. Next, we're going to do 3 rounds where we single crochet 1 in every stitch. So that's 3 rows of 10 stitches or 30 stitches. And I will meet you back here when that's all done. All right, so I'm almost at the end of my round. I've got 3 more stitches to go. And at the end of this round, we're actually going to change back to our kind of burnt orange color. So we're going to start incorporating it now. And you just do that by placing it between your hook and your working yarn. And we're going to carry on for 27, 28, 29, and then for 30 we're going to change to our burnt orange color. So we're going to pull through with brown, and then we're going to switch over to our burnt orange yarn, and then yarn over and pull through. So now we've just changed to our burnt orange yarn. Next we're going to do an increase round, and we're going to increase from 10 stitches to 12 stitches by increasing on every multiple of 6. So in this first stitch, we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the same stitch we increase for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and in the same stitch we increase for 12. All right, so now we have 12 stitches. Next we're going to do 4 rounds where we just single crochet 1 in every stitch. So that's 4 rounds of 12 stitches, or 48 stitches. And I'll meet you back here when that's all done. All right, so I'm all done. So I'm going to slip stitch and chain 1 to finish off. All right, so we're all done. You can cut your yarn. And then you can just stuff it with your yarn tails. You don't want to stuff it too much, like don't overstuff this, because it needs to kind of lay flat to the body a little bit more than it typically would with my other patterns, so that it can flip inside and out fairly easily. All right, so here are my Raichu arms, and then I've also got my Pikachu arms. Okay, so you need 2 arms for each one. And you can rewind this video as many times as you need to get that done.